Next is from Don Keycon. The subject is Tony Khan's Thunder Rosa comments. What's up, guys? I haven't listened to K100 this week. At the time of writing, September 2nd right now. I don't know if you've covered this, but I really, well, other than probably the multiple YouTube clips you put up on it, I would really don't know what you guys think about what Tony Khan said about Thunder Rosa. Now, we can all agree that even the biggest CM Punk haters have to admit it, I'm talking about you, Hughie, that Thunder Rosa isn't even slightly approaching the level of stardom that CM Punk has, even during his TNA run. Simply put, CM Punk is above Thunder Rosa, but what I'm writing to ask is Tony Khan so stupid that he forgets that it's his job to get Thunder Rosa over? He books her like no, he's publicly bashing her for not being a draw. Thunder Rosa may not be the greatest wrestler of all time, but she has a cool, marketable look that should be getting over with people. K100, Tony Khan's comments make Thunder Rosa look bad. Did they backfire and only make him look bad? Now, I got a comment. Coney, you got to I know you don't follow the YouTube stuff. So we had done a clip, okay, where we had talked about PW Insider had talked about Thunder Rosa having a bad back, right? And Konnan was saying, hey, well, she said she told me that she had a bad.
And by the way, Joe, one of the few times you'll hear an apology from me, I kind of cooked you really nice by saying it was you were right.
That's okay. On YouTube, the listeners liked it anyway. So.
Okay, so basically, Dave Shearer, the guy
this is for the guys on YouTube,
and Mike Johnson.
Go ahead.
I guess they talked about it and their thing and whatever, but Dave Shearer referred to Konnan as a hack. He's a guy that won for Pro Wrestling Insider. He's a typical Twitter guy that you can't follow. You can't comment on his Twitter feed.
He was on One Wrestling all those years in the 90s,
right.
And then
he's one of the more credible dirt sheet guys, if you want to call it that. He's been doing it for years.
Dave Shearer, eat it.
So then we read the story when last week, and we put it on the show when we were reading, when Joe sent us that email, when they were talking about the whole thing, and like you said, this is very interesting. Thunder Rosa basically supposedly has a bad back, but she told me, and so let me God, if I can find the quote, but basically, Konnan, what you I'll find it right here, just because this is what you said, Konnan. The Sports Key to come on Sports. It's Sports Key to the Sports Illustrated version of is that they're connected to Sports Illustrated, right? Okay, so here's what you said then. This was a quote. This is what you said on our show, right? I actually asked her, Thunder Rosa. I said, "Yo, why would you tell me that?" So this is after she told you. You talked to her again, right? So you talked to her twice, correct?
Right.
Okay, and then you said, "I actually asked her." I said, "Yo, why would you tell me that it's your knee when it's your back?" And she said, "Oh, I thought I told you it was my back." I go, "No, you told me it was your knee. Why would you say that? It's either your knee or your back. There's no confusion." And then I go, no, what I really meant is my knee. So the conspiracy guy has felt like maybe, and I can be absolutely wrong, that maybe for having back problems backstage, they sat her down and said, say you're injured, but she can also be injured. So you definitely covered your bases there, right? Like you basically said, hey, This is me and my conspiracy, but I may be wrong.
Right, because they're working everybody all the time, and you think everything's a work. Oh, the MJF thing's a work. This is a work. That's a work.
But an injury. Right, huh? like they're doing the same thing we are with the clickbait, right? They're doing the same thing with the clickbait like we are. So, but that's but you definitely there's nothing wrong with what you said.
And that for that, this sap calls me a hack because I said that.
No, Dave Shearer called you a hack. Yeah. But I don't think
I don't know who he is, but I will say this. I've said this a lot of times, and I stand by it. For you to insult me, I must first value opinion, which I don't. But if you want to come on your show, which I'm sure you don't, because all you guys have let your nuts hang when I'm not around, but come on the show and tell me what it is why you think I'm a hack and who exactly you are and what you've exactly done in the business. But come on the show. I guarantee you he doesn't.
There seems to be something there where he just doesn't overall like you at all, because if you remember...
Who gives a I don't know him. Who, Joe, I don't give a
But just to remind you that it did the Speedy Gonzalez impersonation around you.
Yeah,
then we had Mike on. Yeah,
Mike Johnson, even though he apologized, he can eat it too, because I know he just did it because he got heat.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Okay,
and he tried to, it was very disingenuous. So both you nerds, eat it. And I'm sure we'll bump into somebody. So we will be in a convention somewhere, somehow, and you won't introduce yourself, but somebody will tell me, there's Mike Johnson, there's Dave Shearer, and then I'll step to you. Mm-hmm. But go ahead.
All right. So next one's from by the way, so the answer to that question is, I don't know. Like the thing with this, he wants to Thunder Rosa making Tony making her look bad. Like I said, we don't, like it's very problematic that she had two different stories of an injury that is very clearly you really can't mistake one for the other. So, like I said, I don't.
Well, here's the thing about they're actually asking if Tony burying her, huh?
I want to bring this up too. Okay, what if? Okay, this is conspiracy theory. I mean, let's say your conspiracy theory because she lied to you about the knee and I thought I told you back, but it's her back. Okay, but what if maybe because Tony hasn't liked some of the stuff that we've said about this on the podcast? What if Tony basically is sitting her down and telling her, you got to she's like, well, what if I have to work AAA? She's like, well, you can't work AAA because you have to sell this injury. That she may not actually be injured. What if that is a possibility? Do you think that could be a possibility?
It could be anything, right?
It could be anything. Like we never know in this business. Right. Like there's so many dishonest people in this business that you can never. You just don't know where the story is straight or not.
And sometimes it isn't just as honest. They're just trying to drive a narrative, and they don't want the truth to come out. Which is a form of dishonesty. But I think that Tony did kind of bury her in that thing when he's like, "Whoa, what are you gonna put CM Punk with an 8-minute promo or Thunder Rosa for 8 minutes?" Well, you don't have to put her on for 8 minutes, but you can put her on more than 15 seconds or whatever you put, and you hardly ever do anything with her. But I will say this, Thunder Rosa is one of the most opinionated girls I've ever met, and she has a lot of pride. And I can see her cutting a promo on Tony or really, getting hard with him, and Tony said, "Oh, really?" And you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, she's very, she reminds me a lot of me in some ways. She's very opinionated. So who knows, when somebody like Tony, who never buries anybody, goes out of his way to kind of throw shade, who knows what dynamic there was there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, because maybe they had words and he's like, like backhanded comment.
Right,
or sort of like, yeah. You never know, right? Like I said, we never know. It's like we know what we know.
Because he actually said, he made this comment, which I was like, holy that's pretty stiff. He said, well, if you ask me, more people are talking about the actual match, which was like Sheeta and Hayter than the original match.
He threw double shade on her. He said people are more interested in the match that she's not in as opposed to the match she was in.
And that's unlike Tony, as you know. Tony doesn't really go up there and do that. So we don't, unless you're privy to what's going on in the locker room, everything is just merely a supposition at best. Yeah. Yo, what up? This is Konnan, and I host Keeping It 100, my co-host, Disco Inferno, unfortunately.
Well, I'd say you're my co-host.
Listen, every Thursday here on Spreaker, we talk pro wrestling, sports, movies, music, TV, pop culture, and some politics. It's everything the rest of the pro wrestling podcasts are not.
Tune in to hear myself, the superior one, educate and inform.
Tune in to hear me bury Disco.
That's very disrespectful.
Join us every Thursday on Spreaker and keep it 100. Boom!